tariffs. You see, tariffs are actually a tactical tool. They can be really useful to balance trade, to create fairness in a market. Yes, across the borders. For instance, you might want to protect your own workers, your own industry. You don't want all these cheap products coming in. No, because you want to protect. That makes sense. But when you do like global tariffs right across the board for a whole industry or a whole sector, well, it don't make any fucking sense at all. So, once the tariffs kick in, from the United States on the European Union, well, I think it's the 1st of August, well, the European Union is saying they're going to respond with targeted tariffs. And this could end up being very expensive for the United States. But let's remember one thing, it's always the customer that ends up paying for the tariffs. So there will be, well, a little bit, how to put it, unfair on those in the European Union who wish to buy those products. Or even the supply chains for manufacturing, etc., could increase the cost of those products. Maybe those products are going to be re-exported back into the United States, so the tariffs go back on again. So it could all get a little bit messy. That it could. I'm not a lover of tariffs. I think they're stupid, quite frankly, unless they are tactical, focused, and they have a clear reason for doing them. Not just in, how to put it, like for instance the tariffs on Brazil just because Bolsonaro has been investigated. You know how it goes with Donald Trump, you know, his buddies and that, look after his buddies, doesn't he, you know. So, the EU looking to target $84 billion of US goods if the tariff talks fail. Well, tariff talks are a waste of time because there ain't no deals with Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't do deals. He doesn't do deals. See, a deal has to be set in stone. And let's put it like this. Whenever Donald Trump signs a deal, it's like vanishing ink, if you know what I mean. Disappearing ink. Because today there will be some kind of deal, but tomorrow it will be worthless. Because he'll change his mind. He'll just change his mind. Because that's what Donald Trump does. Just like he did with all the other tariffs on all the other deals that he negotiated in the past himself. Well, so he says. Which end up, well, they're the worst deals in history. In his second term. They were fine back there in his first term. But just, well, that's Donald Trump, isn't it? So, the bloc's trade chief, Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič, announced the proposal accounting for some $72 billion worth of US imports at a meeting of the EU ministers in Brussels. Now, the move came after US President Donald Trump, through months of painstaking negotiations with the EU, into disarray by threatening to impose tariffs of 30% on the bloc's goods if there is no deal by August. Well, this is absolutely cripple some of the wine producers, cheese, you name it. Lots of French products and European products are going to be a hit with these tariffs. It doesn't cost them any more, but the problem is that you might buy less in the United States because it becomes more expensive. You might choose your funny floppy kind of weird burger type cheeses instead. What they all about? Ugh. Does the United States actually make good cheese? Because I haven't seen any. No. So the EU has already prepared a separate list of US imports worth $21 billion, and it is ready to target over earlier tariffs from Trump on steel and aluminium. There was also a total of unified positioning among the ministers that we should be ready to respond if needed. So, you know, Trump has a choice, doesn't he? But he doesn't care. Trump doesn't care. He ain't got a clue what's going on around him. What happens is they'll put pressure on him in his own cabinet, or the people in his trade department, the trade minister, whatever. They'll say, "Well, no, we can't do this. You know, this is going to hit us too hard." And Trump will say to himself, "Well, and then maybe he'll forget." But you know, he's got his 2-week rule, hasn't he? You know, in 2 weeks He'll change his mind. Everything is just it's a distraction. Everything is a useful distraction. And he's doing whatever he can to distract from the Charlie Epstein list that the Republicans have just voted against exposing. Make of it what you will. Anyway, please beat the old like button and maybe subscribe to the channel and a little bell icon so then you get one first in your pocket every time I upload another video. Toodaloo. Oh, feck! Ah.